Welcome and thank you for joining us for From the Vault. This is an opportunity where we get to look at some of our more interesting pieces that are off view, that have perhaps been on view for a while but haven't been seen. And this month, since it's Black History Month, we wanted to be able to highlight some of our pieces that show off the role of African-American people in the West, and particularly here in our city of San Antonio. Now, what we're going to do, normally I would be holding up the artifact itself, but the one I wanted to show you today is one of our stereographs. We had this wonderful show a couple of years ago called Destino San Antonio. And Destino San Antonio was all about the people and the photographs, stereographs specifically, from San Antonio that ran from 1860 through 1920. Now, this particular stereograph is from 1870. It's a photograph that was taken, and the effect is probably best seen through a stereograph viewer. Many of you, if you've ever seen those old, any of those old, I forget what ones are called. Many of you, if you remember the old viewfinders from years ago, where you would have the little wheel of photographs and click through one at a time. That was the result of the stereograph viewer. Stereographs themselves were the precursor. We could get a three-dimensional image of unique places and individuals and cultures, and it really would bring the world to life on a certain level for people. And so these became wonderful souvenirs. And in our collection, we have this huge repository of over 600 images dealing with San Antonio. And the piece I'm going to show you right now is one of those images. It's actually quite interesting, and I'll tell you why. So here's the image right here. I'm going to try and blow this up a little bit more for you. There we go. So the image itself is quite interesting because it shows off, and this is only one of two images you normally would see, but the image itself shows off three individuals right over here. Now, what their profession is, I don't exactly know. Some people have speculated that they might be vendors. I disagree, and here's why. If you can see this little figure right here, there's a white shirt, and it looks like a head that swiveled at the last moment, making it very blurry, so it almost disappears into the background. But this apple vendor, I'm assuming, is the individual who's selling the fruit here, and then he has his three customers. These three African-American men who are here purchasing their fruit. I'm thinking and speculating here, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'm thinking these individuals might actually be cowboys. It is the right time. 1867 through about 1880s was really the prime time for the big cattle drives that you see going up through San Antonio. And these three, you can see, they're very distinctive hats, coats, boots, so on. Definitely something could have been worn by any civilian at the time, but also too, and one of the reasons I tend to believe this is because different books that I've read talk a lot about the variety of people that are coming out of San Antonio. And there's a wonderful book called We Pointed Them North. It's a story, a personal account of an old Montana cowboy who had his start in South Texas. And he talks about the people that he met along the trail, the individuals he came into contact with. One of the things he says, most of the cattle drives, most of the crews that work these cattle drives coming out of South Texas were predominantly made up of white cowboys, African-American cowboys, and Tejano cowboys or vaqueros. And so as they're leaving, they're pushing north from South Texas, deep in South Texas and northern Mexico with their cattle. Inevitably, they're stopping in San Antonio. And San Antonio became a crossroads for people to come to purchase goods, to get ready for these drives. And so what we're seeing here could very easily be just a quick shot of three South Texas cowboys who are coming up the trail, stopping in San Antonio, potentially stopping to buy a few supplies for some things that they won't see on the trail. You're not going to get a whole lot of opportunity to purchase apples when you are making your way up the trail, when you're out on the plains of Oklahoma or Kansas. And so what we're seeing here could be one of those things where these cowboys have come before they had further up the trail. And it can't even be overstated. Approximately 1/4 of all the cowboys that made their way north were African American cowboys. And so at this time, again, this is all speculative, just based on evidence. We don't know who these individuals were. We don't know why they're here at this time. What we can tell is they're hanging around an apple stand with an individual I'm guessing is the proprietor of this little stand, this man selling the apples, whose face we can't see. But it is, I would say, at least relatively safe to say that these three individuals could easily have been cowboys making their way or getting ready to make their way up the old Chisholm or Shawnee Trail. But we hope you've enjoyed this. It's definitely one of my favorite images. It really gives the opportunity to get a close-up and personal look really into the past and the past of San Antonio and its history and heritage. So thank you for joining us today. Hopefully we'll be able to see y'all again real soon from the vault. But thank you and have a wonderful day, and hope we get to see y'all real soon at the museum.